or Cole Haans. I think they were Cole Haans, the
Yeah, they
athletic.
probably were. Yeah.
Oh, so welcome to our come together right now Zoom. What are you drinking? Diet Coke?
I'm drinking Diet Coke because I'm out of coconut LaCroix.
Okay.
I pretty much weaned myself off of this stuff.
It's interesting. Brenda Benson said last Friday that she's taking exquisite self-care, and one of her, I'm going to call it guilty pleasures, is Diet Coke or Diet Dr. Pepper. And so it's one of the things she's treating herself to right now.
Nice. You know, that extreme self-care thing, this is the time for that, and it's real.
Well, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to do these Zooms. So I just want to give a little context. I don't know how many of our audience right now knows who you are, but you became the regional director in the Chicagoland, was it 5 years ago?
Seven. April the 8th, 7 years ago, I came, I was a business consultant with Coldwell Banker. And 7 years ago, I found myself planted at Masterminds in Las Vegas. I was new to Keller Williams, new to my regional director role, new to Chicago. And it's been an interesting journey ever since.
Yeah. And honestly, the reason I wanted you to come on, and I don't know that you'll remember this because I'm sure you helped tons of people. We were at Recharge in 2016.
I know. Yeah.
And I won't go into detail, but I had a pretty tough business situation for me that was really impacting my heart. And you coached me through it. And
it's amazing that you remember that. I do too.
I won't ever forget it.
Well.
And that made it left an indelible mark on my heart because you did bring the business savvy, but also the heart to it, and really got me through that time. So thank you. And that's why I thought you'd be perfect for being here.
You're welcome.
So kind of, what is your day-to-day right now like? And are you used to working from home? You weren't working from home before this, right?
No, I wasn't working from home. And because we have a condo, we've got this ridiculously expensive condo in downtown Chicago that we don't need, right? So when we're talking about, you know, getting your expenses under control and taking a look at everything, we're like, we need to sell this place and get into something smaller so that it can be shown, because we are considered a essential business in Illinois. Stack and I kind of loaded things up and moved our stuff down to Champaign, where we've been hanging out. My days are like 7 o'clock in the morning to 6:30 or so in the evening on Zoom calls. She thinks I work this way all the time. She's like, is it always like this for you? And I'm like, oh yeah, this is, I'm actually working harder with greater focus than my normal routine.
Okay. What's causing that?
I think what has caused it was an intense sensitivity to everyone's situation, and thus the feeling like I needed to say yes to everything. And I found myself a week ago Wednesday, I remember, might have been 2 weeks ago Wednesday, was on the second day of all day RD Zoom calls, right? And I was feeling exhausted, tired, worn out, and more than a little sorry for myself. And wow, this is so unfair. And I started thinking about, well, who's got it worse than me? And I started thinking about the team leaders in my region and how so much of them, how much has fallen on their shoulders. And so I picked up the phone and I started calling most of the team leaders in my region, and my script was really sexy. It was, thank you, I love you, what can I do for you, let's keep going, right? And at the end of that hour and whatever, I felt great. And that's a lesson for all of us. And so I think the self-care thing, back to you've heard the analogy about putting your own oxygen mask on first. For me, right now, that's coming into play. I'm saying no to some calls and some opportunities to connect with people that I would normally say yes to, because I recognize sleep is not coming so easily right now, right? We're all, some days are awesome, especially the ones where I decide when I wake up how they're going to be, that they're going to be better. So the more, yesterday we took 2 10-minute walks outside. I had no time at all, but I did have time. I had a couple 15-minute chunks where like, let's go. And just getting out of it, getting out of this chair is helpful. Not having so right now, the thing that's most helpful for me is treating this like a job, having a plan, showing up when and where I'm supposed to, and making sure that I'm doing a better job of disconnecting and connecting with the people that I love in my world.
Yeah.
That's it.
I actually did a call yesterday morning for Karen Prawl with her agents and said basically the same thing. If you've got a car that gets 350 miles to the tank, you want to go 400, you've got to stop and refuel. And we're the exact same way. So I'm sure you are aware of agents working 14, 16-hour days as well. And you'll just burn out. And the time that it takes to come from that burnout is a lot more time than if you just take care of yourself now.
It's real. I started my day with Prawl's gang today. I see Kristen Jungles. Unfortunately, she's a White Sox fan, and I don't know how she got admitted to this group. And so we'll talk about that afterwards. Being amongst our agents gives me energy, right?
Yep.
Reconnects me to my community, and it's easy to like hole up. I look like an extrovert. I'm like an extroverted introvert when it comes down to it, and it is easy. It's easy just to hole up in the cave here and work. And I presume that that's true for some or many of our agents as well. And so it's important that we all reach out to one another.
No. So it's interesting. This is interesting timing. If this is the first time it's coming to you that, okay, our self-care has to get in alignment, and Stack is behind you. I know you guys golf a lot. Are you able to do that now?
Illinois opens up for golf this Friday. We haven't played, we haven't hit balls. We will do some of that. We will do some of that, and yet I have a deep belief that we need to be first good community citizens, and so this notion of I like to call it physical distancing instead of social distancing, right?
Yeah.
That's really important. It's really important that we not let down our guard and, start playing golf with our buddies. And I've seen some pictures from the beach, from Newport, right? And in my mind, it's like, come on, let's do the right thing here and not fall back, not fall backwards, weeks at a time. So we will take advantage of some of the outdoors, and there will be a time to play golf again. And right now it's not today.
Okay. So today, what are you doing to take care of John? And Kristen just typed in that you are the reigning champion of the Weinberg Choi charity golf outing. Congratulations.
As a matter of fact, it's 2 years in a row. It's the first back-to-back. It's the first back-to-back champions of that event, and we'll be a lot like the Chicago Bulls in the '90s. We will repeat again, and that won't be the last one. So, Actually, we went up to Chicago last night just to hang out in a different environment, and got in the car and drove back, today. So that was my little getaway. It was just overnight. It was just to be in a different place. So that's what we did. Um, this evening, I'll turn off the phone eventually. And Stack and she tells me that we're having pizza. So she's really being nice to me. We have been taking multiple long walks because our gyms are closed, right?
Yep.
So we've been going, usually it's between 2 and 3 miles at a pop. Yep. Beginning and ending the day with a long walk has been a godsend.
Yeah. So let me shift a gear, because the other thing, I don't know that everybody knows your son's story, and I didn't.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, sorry, dude. It's an inspirational Zoom, so let's hear it.
Wow.
Should have prepped you for it, but look at that. Yeah. The small's back. So let's go.
Yeah, well, it depends if you want the long version or the short version. I'll try to give you the abridged version. My son, Jack, my oldest son, Jack, was a good-looking, athletic stud in high school, and he was smart, and yet he needed to be challenged in order to be his best, right? And so Jack went to Southern Illinois University, came back with a 0.00 grade point average his first year. I'm not making that up. He wasn't ready. He had buddies that were going to Ivy League schools and were on football scholarships, and he kind of saw his dreams floating away. He was working at Kinko's and decided that he was going to enlist in the Army, which is maybe a good choice. So he was jumping out of airplanes up at Fort Richardson in Alaska at 30 degrees below, and went to Afghanistan, got hurt. Buddy of his got killed standing next to him. A suicide bomber had borne down on him, and he went in and had a Purple Heart, had surgery, and of course wanted to go back. So he did. So Jack went back to Iraq, and he was in the Humvee of, he was up in the turret of a Humvee, and they were in a convoy, and an ambush popped out on both sides of him. And he was up, shooting back, and he asked his buddy Dennis to hand him a can of ammo. And at that moment, a rocket-propelled grenade penetrated the Humvee and blew off Jack's leg and his buddy's arm in the same incident. And I was waiting for him at Walter Reed, and he got there, and he was at Walter Reed almost 2 years. It was a difficult injury because he lost his leg right below the knee, so he had the joint, and that's a good thing, but there was nothing to attach it to. So they were like, do we amputate higher? What, and they ended up transplanting one of his lat muscles to his stub, and it grew, and so that worked out. The first few months that Jack was at Walter Reed, he was depressed, despondent, surly. He was laying around in his bed, moping. He was sure that his little brother, he was no longer going to be his little brother's hero, that girls were not going to be interested in him. He'd abandoned his guys.
How old was he, John, at that point?
Early 20s. And I was in the room when this little short dude and a tall, willowy blonde walked in, and the guy said, "Hi, my name's Andrew. Mind if we visit a little bit?" And got to visiting with Jack. And Andrew, as it turns out, was into adventure sports. He was a motorcycle racer. He was a pilot. And sure enough, about 15 minutes into the conversation, Andrew pulled up his pant leg, and he's got a fake leg. And, his airplane wasn't just any airplane. He was the first Air Force pilot returned to active duty, and his airplane was Air Force Two, the vice president's airplane. So they chatted, and Andrew and his wife left. And I could tell something had changed in my kid. And the next day, Jack is down in the gym at Walter Reed working out. Wounded Warriors swooped in and kind of seized on him. And with 45 days later, he completed the Chicago Marathon in a hand crank bike. And later that year, he did a regular marathon through the desert out in New Mexico. And this story just continues on, right? He spent a day with President Obama, went to the State of the Union address, became a friend of President Bush's. He's played in a couple of President Bush's golf outings. He's on the back cover. He was painted by President Bush. There's some information about there about Jack and inside there, and it continues, right? It's like probably 5 years ago now, I came home and there was a box waiting for me at home. And I opened it, no explanation. There's a blue baseball cap with a white G on it. And it's a copy of Jack's acceptance letter to Georgetown University's International School of Business. He had taken 52 hours of junior college class in that 2 years while at Georgetown, got straight A's. Graduated as Georgetown's outstanding undergraduate in international business studies.
After his 0.00.
Went from 0.00, right? 3 years ago now. They met across a tent at a Wounded Warrior event, right? She's a little international marathoner, a physician's assistant. And so 3 years ago, they ended up getting married in a castle in Scotland. And it gets worse. Her name is Jill, as in Jack Ann, right? So the point here is my kid's life has taken on such a different trajectory than it was. And I'm going to maintain that had Andrew LaRake, Lieutenant Colonel Andrew LaRake, not walked into my kid's room and said, hey, let's visit, Jack might not have seen a living example of what was possible for him. Once he saw who he could become, I'm convinced that propelled him forward. And I've become convinced that that's true for all of us, that a closely held vision of what's possible for ourselves, who we can become, even more so than what we can get, is much more motivating than I want to go from 17 units to 25, or I want to increase my GCI by 20. So that's the story of Jack Schumacher.
And so appropriate, I think, John. None of us are at home losing limbs, but I do think a lot of us are at home thinking, and my future is not going to be the same, right? Things that I thought were possible are now not possible, and can get lost in that thought process. And even in some of the business Zooms I've seen, people, there's so much uncertainty that it can be paralyzing. And I think latching on to a story like that and realizing there is somebody out there that you can follow who is doing something different. All the possibilities exist. We just need to get out of our own way with our gray matter.
I think we see what we look for, right? I think it's important to acknowledge that this time right now sucks. A lot of us, right? A lot of us we had a great start to the year, and it's really inconvenient. The things that we used to do don't work, and we can't see our buddies, and this is impacting and will impact our business, right? And so it does suck, and it's a blessing, and it is a blessing. And it's a blessing because what better time to actually reinvent yourself by reinventing your habits? What better time to say, who am I going to become on the other side of this?
Yeah.
And make a plan and do that while our competitors, while the majority of the world is sitting saying, I'm just going to sit this out and wait for things to come back to normal. And I say, what a shame, what a waste it would be if things return to normal, if we return to normal. I think we'd really be missing an opportunity. There is creativity and love and responsiveness all around us. And if we look for it, that's what we'll see. If that's what we spread, that's what we will see. People wanting to know, how do I do more business? Right now, I'm going to say there is no limit to the amount of love that you can put out into the world.
Yep.
So go do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's very interesting. I know you were in the business in the last traditional shift, as traditional as that was. And I remember the majority of the real estate community outside of Keller Williams saying, we're just waiting. It'll just be a month or 2 months or 3 months, and then this would be past us. And 18 months later, we were, the market had completely tanked. And all those people who were sitting back waiting for time to pass didn't survive it. The brokerages closed doors, agents got out of the business. And I think we're going to see a lot of that now.
There's no question in my mind.
Yeah. So what I'm hoping all of our agents understand is spread the love to your co-brokes out there, because they're going to need a safety net. And I don't know every single one of these Zooms, you're number 18. The theme of just love more and give more has come out. You tell me another company where that's coming out. Not like this.
I've not encountered it. And I came to Keller Williams for the opportunity, right? I was here for the 1979 shift when my dad took one side of the street and I took the other side of the street, right? And interest rates are 19%. We're like, how are we going to get through this? And it was true then. It was true, it was true in 08. There's more than enough business for those people that recognize it and go for it. And there's going to be a whole bunch of people that do, in fact, wash out, for sure. I came to Keller Williams for the opportunity. I recognized that there was still yet more for me to become. I like big challenges. We had failed in Chicago. What I've discovered at Keller Williams is I have found my tribe. I have found a group of people that are willing to bust each other's chops. That
with
that's
love.
The one
with love.
That is the one thing that I have found inside this Keller Williams tent that I had not experienced outside of it, and I still maintain that it is our most powerful competitive difference.
Yeah. So what are you telling the troops right now? What are you telling the market centers? I mean, I know, cut expenses, but what are you anticipating to see in Chicago?
Well, I am planning as though half of our business is going to go away, and I don't believe that it will be that much. But what I am telling people is, right, this is the time. Most people have heard that mind share now will equal market share later. It's true. Here's what I'm telling people. Hey, yes, get control of your finances. We got sloppy when business was good, so stop and take a look at that for sure. Yeah. Number two is for those of us that have been waiting for the perfect script to contact everyone in our world, professionally or personally, right? How about, hey, I was thinking about you. How you doing? What can I do for you? There you go. Your excuse is gone. Use it to connect with everyone in your world right now. And while you're doing that, use that as an opportunity to update their contact information so that you can begin systematizing going forward. You won't have to call 300 or 800 or 2200 in a short period of time because you're going to become proactive about it. So mastering your communication, and yes, master the technology that supports it now. I am time blocking, right? I've done 100 contacts in the last 2 days in Command where I'm updating their information. I'm getting birth dates. For those of you that are looking for what Command won't do for you yet, that's what you're going to find. Those of you that are operating from 2-week-old or 30-day-old or 9-month-old beliefs about command, right? I promise you, if you get in there and spend some time, you're going to find a whole bunch that it will do for you. So don't wait until it's perfect. I'm going to say master your craft. What do you need to work on? What do you need to perfect? Is it that pre-listing video or packet or your listing presentation? Or is it your scripts? Here is an opportunity where life is not inserting itself so much into your daily routine. You can build self-improvement and rejuvenation in at the same time. Like master your schedule, that sleep thing I've told you, it's really important. I was crabby Appleton and it was pointed out to me, right? So whether it's sleeping, journaling, meditating, what a time to design your miracle morning and actually live it. So I'm telling agents, take this for the opportunity it is. I'm telling market centers, come together as a collection of people that are determined to come out on the other side of this changed or different than when we entered it, so that we don't waste this by returning back to, quote, business as normal.
Yeah. Well, we know that's not going to happen, right? I mean, it's just, there's going to be a new normal. And a good friend of mine has said, don't waste this pandemic. I mean, hopefully we only go through one in our lives, right? And I watch all the disaster movies. I love like The Day After Tomorrow and all those. Could have never imagined something like this where we peacefully just shut the planet down. What an incredible opportunity.
I think on a global scale, there's some amazing things that could come out of this as well.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, sir. Well, what can we do for you? How can we support our Chicago family?
Take it easy on the Cubs. If you're a White Sox fan, I see her up in the corner. You know, the best thing that you can do is what you do in San Diego impacts what happens to us in Chicago. So, you know, becoming and being the best example of what Keller Williams is about is what you can do for me and we can do for you at the same time, and choosing to focus on the things that are good and loving and powerful and positive, as opposed to what's inconvenient or not working or negative, right? We can do that for one another as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Thank you, sir. Anything else you want to share with us?
No, I love you all. It's an honor.
I'm sorry?
I said it's an honor.
It's an honor that you said yes. Any questions for John? They're being
I know.
Are you reading them?
No.
Oh, okay.
I did see a Go Cubs Go. Thank you so much for that, Tricia. Wow, you people are nice.
They're a good group. They're a good group.
Speed of the leader.
How Peggy says, how did your life change? I don't, maybe that's in relationship to Jack, but yeah, how did a dad watching his son go through that? How did you shift?
Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit more of the story, if you got a couple minutes.
Oh yeah.
Jack and Jack's mother and I separated and ultimately divorced. That was a tough time. Jack came back from Southern Illinois University, surly, partying all night, sleeping all day. Now, I was Jack's Little League baseball coach, his Indian Guides chief. I was at every parent-teacher conference, right? So I've been an involved dad. We were tight. And And ultimately, I was scratching my head what to do for my kid because I knew this wasn't helping him move forward, and it was really uncomfortable to be around. And I finally sat down with Jack, and because every day is like, I'm going to get a job, going to get a job, going to get a job. And I sat him down and I said, when are you going to get a job? And he said, this week. And this was in May. And I said, you know, I love you, and I'll help you. But I need you to know that this isn't working for me. And if you don't have a job June the 15th, you're going to have to find another place to live.
Wow.
So I came home June the 15th, and Jack's car was gone. And there was a note on the door saying, as far as I'm concerned, you're not my dad.
Ouch.
And he was gone. You know, I like choosing between dad and buddy, and I chose dad, and it was the right choice. I went over to Bloomington, where he eventually surfaced to live with his mom, and I would hang out at Kinko's and see if I could buy him dinner afterwards, and he rejected me. So we really had not talked for over a year.
Wow.
When I was on vacation and got the phone call from his captain that he had lost his leg, he'd been wounded.
You hadn't talked in the year prior to that? Oh, John, I didn't know that. Holy.
I know. It's not something I readily share. So I remember the call from his captain, and 2 days later, I received another phone call, and this was from a chaplain in Germany. And I answered the phone, and what he said to me was, Mr. Schumacher, I have your son on the phone. And got on the phone with Jack, and the first words out of his mouth were, I love you so much, I don't even know what I was so mad about. And 2 days later, right, they flew him back to Walter Reed, and I was waiting for him there, and it was almost as though nothing had happened. And so what I saw in my kid, it was horrible. I saw him when they wheeled him in. He was battle scarred. You know, it was a mess. I saw what pain he was in. And at the same time, I got to see his first steps a second time. I got to see his transformation. It wasn't so much the hero in battle kind of thing. Jack could have, like his buddy Dennis, chosen to be a victim. He had every right. Dennis is drinking, his marriage is on the rocks, he's overspending, right? He doesn't want to wear his prosthetic limb. There's a lot of grace involved in that. But as a parent, to believe and trust that the good stuff, that I'd already put the good stuff in my kid that I was responsible for, and to trust that there was a power greater than myself, right, that would, you know, work some magic, I got to see that actually happen. And so I saw my son in it was the worst pain, and it was also the most joyful triumph. And that's how it always is, isn't it? Doesn't the worst thing that happened always contain the seeds of the best?
Yep.
When it comes right down to it. That's how it's been for my kid.
Well, and we've said often on these Zooms, in times like that, true character is revealed. It's created, but it's also revealed. And so, yeah, that says a tremendous amount about you and him.
For sure. So that's enough conversation about my kid, right?
Thank you.
He'd be uncomfortable as well.
I'm sure. And where is he now?
He is in Annapolis, Maryland. They're married. They just bought a 2-story house and a dog. So I'm thinking maybe they're thinking thinking family. We'll see. But he's doing great. He's doing great. His wife's doing great. We're all blessed.
Awesome. Well, thank you, John, for sharing that. It was unexpected and special, so thank you.
Not many get to hear that, the rest of the story.
Well, and the thing there, I mean, we all probably have some relationship that's gone through something like that, and
Yeah.
it's perspective. Then something really happens, and you get that perspective, just like, you know, being quarantined at home. It's a time to really discover what's important, what's truly important to you. And then hopefully after we do get out of this, we don't lose sight of it again.
That's right.
No. Well, I can't wait to see you in person and give you a big hug. Gosh, don't know when that's going to be, but hopefully sooner than later.
I look forward to getting within 6 feet of you, Ashley Lunn. I love you, and your troops are so lucky to have you as their leader.
Oh, well, thank you. We've got great people. Great, great people.
Tommy and Josh say hey.
Tell them hi.
I will.
All right. Love you, man. Tell Stack hi, too.
I will. See you guys. Thanks.
Take care.
Get back to work.